If your urine stream has become weaker, slower, or harder to start, what if the real problem isn't just your prostate? And what if treating it like that is exactly why it keeps getting worse? Most men are told a simple story. Your prostate is enlarging. That's normal. It's aging. So they accept the pills. They adjust their lifestyle around bathroom breaks. They assume this is just how it goes after 50. But here's what almost nobody explains. Urine flow is not just about prostate size. It's about pressure dynamics, inflammation, nerve communication, and blood supply. And when those systems begin to fail, your body sends early warning signs. A weak stream is one of them. If you ignore it or only try to shrink the prostate, you may be missing the deeper mechanism driving the problem. That's why so many treatments seem to help and then suddenly stop working. In this video, I'm going to show you what's really happening inside your body and what you can start doing today to fix the root cause, not just mask the symptom. Here's where most people get misled. When a man develops a weak urine stream, the conversation almost immediately turns to one thing: benign prostatic hyperplasia, an enlarged prostate. And yes, the prostate can grow with age, but here's the problem. Size alone does not explain symptoms. I've seen men with significantly enlarged prostates who urinate just fine, and I've seen men with only mild enlargement who struggle with hesitancy, weak flow, and incomplete emptying. So clearly something else is happening. The conventional approach focuses almost entirely on shrinking the prostate or relaxing the muscle around it. Medications are prescribed to reduce prostate volume or loosen smooth muscle tone. And sometimes they help, temporarily. But many men notice the same frustrating pattern: initial improvement, followed by plateau, then worsening again. Why? Because the real issue often isn't just mechanical obstruction, it's dysfunction in the entire urinary control system. Your bladder is not just a storage bag. It's a muscular organ that must contract with enough strength and coordination to push urine through the urethra. That contraction depends on proper nerve signaling, healthy blood flow, balanced inflammation levels, and intact tissue responsiveness. If the bladder muscle weakens, pressure drops. If chronic low-grade inflammation stiffens tissues, flow resistance increases. If nerve signaling becomes less efficient due to metabolic stress, insulin resistance, or vascular compromise, coordination between bladder and sphincter starts to fail. And when coordination fails, you don't get a strong continuous stream. You get hesitation, dribbling, stop and start flow. In other words, the prostate may be involved, but it's often not the root cause. It's just part of a larger system under stress. Modern medicine tends to treat the visible structure, but the real driver frequently lies deeper: chronic metabolic strain, reduced pelvic blood circulation, systemic inflammation, and progressive bladder muscle fatigue. And here's the uncomfortable truth. These processes often begin years before symptoms become obvious. A weak urinary stream is not just an inconvenience. It can be an early signal that vascular health is declining, that inflammation is building, or that neuromuscular control is deteriorating. If you only try to shrink tissue without restoring function, you're trimming branches while ignoring the roots. So before we talk about solutions, you need to understand what's actually happening inside your body at the biological level. Because once you see the mechanism clearly, the strategy becomes obvious. Now let's break this down in a way that actually makes sense. Think of urination as a coordinated hydraulic event. Your bladder is the pump. Your prostate and urethra are the outlet pipe. Your nerves are the electrical wiring. And your blood vessels are the maintenance crew that keeps everything powered and responsive. For a strong urine stream to happen, 4 things must work perfectly together. First, the bladder muscle, called the detrusor muscle, must contract with enough force. That contraction creates pressure. Pressure is what drives flow. No pressure, no strong stream. As men age, especially in the presence of chronic metabolic stress, the detrusor muscle can gradually lose strength. This is not dramatic at first, it's subtle. But over time, the pressure generated during urination drops. Second, the outlet must relax at exactly the right time. The prostate and surrounding smooth muscle fibers need to open in coordination with bladder contraction. This requires precise nerve signaling. If the bladder contracts, but the outlet doesn't fully relax, you get resistance. That resistance weakens the stream. Third, blood flow matters more than most people realize. The bladder and prostate are highly vascular tissues. They depend on oxygen delivery to maintain elasticity and muscular responsiveness. When circulation declines due to endothelial dysfunction, atherosclerosis, or long-standing insulin resistance, tissues become less flexible and less reactive. Stiff tissue does not contract or relax efficiently. Fourth, inflammation quietly changes everything. Low-grade chronic inflammation increases tissue stiffness, alters receptor sensitivity, and disrupts normal signaling pathways. Over time, inflammatory mediators can impair how nerves communicate with muscle fibers. The bladder may contract too weakly. The sphincter may not relax smoothly. Coordination suffers. Now here's where it gets even more interesting. The bladder doesn't just fail overnight. In the early stages of obstruction or resistance, it actually works harder. It thickens. It compensates. Think of it like a person lifting heavier and heavier weights. But eventually, that muscle becomes fatigued. And when fatigue sets in, pressure drops dramatically. That's when symptoms become obvious. Weak stream, straining, incomplete emptying, frequent urination at night. By that point, the issue is no longer just about something blocking the pipe. It's about a pump that has been overworked and undernourished for years. And here's the connection most men miss. The same vascular and metabolic problems that affect the heart also affect the bladder. The same endothelial dysfunction that contributes to erectile dysfunction can reduce pelvic blood flow. The same insulin resistance that affects energy metabolism can impair neuromuscular coordination. This is why a weak urine stream is sometimes an early vascular warning sign. Your urinary system is not isolated. It is deeply integrated with your metabolic and circulatory health. Once you understand that this is a systems issue, not just a size issue, you stop chasing surface-level fixes. And that's exactly where real solutions begin. Now that you understand the mechanism, let's talk about what you can actually do starting today. If this is truly a systems problem involving blood flow, inflammation, metabolic stress, and bladder muscle fatigue, then your strategy must target those roots. Number one, improve vascular health. Everything begins with circulation. Your bladder and prostate depend on oxygen-rich blood. To improve endothelial function, prioritize daily movement. I'm not talking about extreme workouts. I'm talking about 30 to 40 minutes of brisk walking, cycling, or resistance training at least 5 days per week. Resistance training is especially powerful. It improves insulin sensitivity, increases nitric oxide production, and enhances blood vessel responsiveness. Also, prioritize sleep. Poor sleep worsens vascular stiffness and increases inflammation. Number two, reduce chronic inflammation. Chronic low-grade inflammation stiffens tissue and disrupts nerve signaling. Start by reducing ultra-processed foods, refined sugars, and excessive alcohol. Increase omega-3 rich foods like fatty fish. Add polyphenol-rich foods such as berries, olive oil, green tea, and leafy greens. Hydration also matters. Concentrated urine irritates the bladder lining and worsens symptoms. Number three, strengthen metabolic control. Insulin resistance quietly damages nerve signaling and microcirculation. If you have abdominal weight gain, elevated fasting glucose, or metabolic syndrome, this is critical. Reduce refined carbohydrates. Increase protein intake. Consider time-restricted eating if appropriate. When blood sugar stabilizes, nerve-muscle communication improves. Number 4, train the bladder intelligently. Avoid just-in-case urination. Constant premature emptying reduces bladder capacity over time. Instead, gradually retrain your bladder to hold urine slightly longer, not to the point of pain, but progressively. This improves muscular conditioning. Also, avoid chronic straining. Straining increases pelvic floor tension and worsens coordination. Number 5, support pelvic blood flow. Pelvic floor mobility is often overlooked. Gentle pelvic floor exercises, both strengthening and relaxation, can improve coordination between contraction and release. And if you sit for long hours, stand up every hour. Prolonged sitting compresses pelvic circulation. None of these steps are extreme, but together they address the root system: circulation, inflammation, metabolic health, and neuromuscular coordination. When you restore function, symptoms often improve naturally. Now, here's something even more important. If a weak urine stream can be an early vascular warning sign, then you have to ask yourself, what other signals might your body be sending? Because urinary symptoms and erectile dysfunction often share the same underlying mechanism: impaired blood flow and endothelial dysfunction. And if you haven't watched my video about erectile dysfunction and vascular health, I've placed that video right here. Check it out.